Welcome to Active Minds Breaking Barriers. This is episode 4. As you know, I am Nicole Russell, and this podcast is about empowering students, letting them know that they're not along this journey by themselves, and also inviting faculty and staff from your college to share resources that's available to help students succeed. And I just want to thank everyone that has been watching this podcast, supporting me, especially my family. Thank you for the feedbacks and just letting me know that I'm doing the right thing. Sometimes we need reassurance, so thank you. So today I am excited. I have a special guest, Miss Shayla Pruitt. She is the director of the first year experience and mentoring at your college. She's responsible for freshmen and new transfer students initiatives such as orientation and transition programs, mentoring, and other efforts designed to strengthen the connection between new students and the college. She has piloted the first year experience digital badge program, which acknowledges a student's accomplishments within the first 2 semesters as they enhance their knowledge of the college, embark on career exploration, and learn strategies that are beneficial to academic and professional success. Prior to her current position, she served as a associate director of campus life at LaGuardia Community College, where she provided oversight in project management, disaster relief efforts, civic engagement programming, student activities, and student government association. She has over 20 years of student affairs experience. Hello, Miss Shayla. I'm so happy that you're here and you took the time out of your busy schedule to help me break barriers and strengthen this podcast because I really need it. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I appreciate the opportunity to engage with you.
So let's just go straight into it. The first question is, what do you believe is the biggest challenge first generation students face when they begin their college journey, and how does your team help them to tackle it?
I think that first generation students are often uncertain how to move forward in college. It can be very intimidating because we do throw a lot of information at all first year students. We want to make sure that they have as many resources as possible. And a lot of times, first generation students, because there is no prior knowledge a lot of the times on how to navigate the college experience, there's a little apprehension sometimes in asking questions, being concerned that their question may not might be too simple. But there really is there's no such thing as a simple question. I mean, you know what you know, and you don't know what you don't know, right?
Right.
So, when you start college. Uh, Everyone's on an even playing field. In fact, there's a bit of an assumption that everyone is starting off, at the same point as far as maybe not knowing what the college offers as far as additional support services and co-curricular engagement. We know that there are classes here, right? You know that as a student, you're going to come to college, you're going to go and take classes, but all of the other opportunities and resources here. And there's a lot, and so I think that first gen students often kind of proceed with caution, just kind of a little concerned that they should know more than they
Right.
do. But in all honesty, that's you know every environment is new. First year experience is just that; it's an experience.
Do you think they also feel intimidated by other students that, like came in with a little sense of direction?
Yes. If you're comparing a first year or first generation student to a transfer student, transfer students come in, we know, with some prior college experience. And that does increase the confidence because you do know a little bit of what to expect. Each college is different, but there are a lot of things that are common. So it is sometimes easier to navigate, especially if you have maybe parents or other family members or friends that have experienced college. But York has a pretty substantial amount of resources that give us about a year, 2 consecutive semesters, and a student who might have been apprehensive at the beginning of their process, I think, would feel a lot better at the end of their first year if they participate in what the college has to.
Sure, I agree. Next question. We know first gen students often don't have the same college prep as others. How does the first year experience program help fill in those gaps before and during their first year?
The exciting thing about the first year experience department is that we get to be extremely creative and we get to be trendy, right? So we take a look at what other colleges are doing with their first year students and first gen students. We take a look at what students are, looking at on social media. We have
Yeah.
conversations, and if we feel that we need to build something that addresses certain challenges or certain skill sets that may need to be enhanced, then we're able to do so. We collaborate a lot. In fact, we rarely work independently, like in a silo. We don't really do that. We need career services. We need the counseling center. We need the academic side of the house. We need LinkedIn Learning. So we do a lot of outreach to different departments and colleagues on campus, and we have a lot of conversations because the things that we see in a first generation or first year student is very similar to what is being observed by colleagues in other departments, and we get to
Yeah.
be creative with what we think the student needs and then move forward with that. For example, the counseling center, if you just put in a Google search of what might be a challenge for new students, and anxiety is usually at the top of the list, right?
Yes.
It doesn't state what the student or students might be anxious about. It's just anxiety, right? And we've noticed that a lot post pandemic, right? Getting used to kind of a new normal. A lot of our interactions are now through, Zoom, or not necessarily face to face, or well, face to face, yeah, but maybe not necessarily in person. And so we partner often with the counseling center. They offer, the one-on-one individual support, but they also offer group activities based on common interests that might center around um, certain challenges, right? So they have an event coming up. I think it's coming up. I just saw the advertisements. Yes, ecotherapy. Who would have thought of that?
I know, right?
Ecotherapy. That's so amazing, right? And it's unique and it's different. So if you are an incoming student or a first generation student, or
Yes.
a first time freshman, and you just like nature, and everyone gets nervous, right? Midterms, finals, life happens, right? But
Literally.
yes, but just the concept of going through, walking, right? Walking outside in nature, which can be a calming effect for some, right? And then walking and just getting to know people who are walking with you, following the instruction and the modality of the facilitator could make
Yes.
a huge difference. You could forge friendships from that, right? You
True.
get an introduction as to the services that are offered. And the first year experience does a lot of partnering with the counseling center in our mentoring workshops, and
Hmm.
and those types of initiatives, as well as our first year experience digital badges. And we give the student flexibility. So one of the requirements for a digital badge is to engage with the counseling center, right? Their Wellness Wednesdays, right? Variety of topics. So even though it's counseling center initiatives, we collaborate on that, we promote it, we integrate it into the work that we do, because we know that the students are multidimensional, right? One size does not fit all. And you need to be able to provide a level of flexibility so that the students can get what they need in kind of creative ways, because they may not necessarily feel comfortable stating that they're having trouble connecting with people, right? Or they may not be comfortable stating that they're having, difficulty in, particular subjects or feeling a part of the college community. So the same way that we engage with the counseling center and they engage with us because it's a two-way street, we do the same with the library, right? The information that they feel that students need to know, we turn that into student success sessions. We've had study abroad. We've had info sessions on that. Resources for resolution. There is a student success session that focuses on what happens if you need some assistance, like what if you need to do an academic appeal, right? Or what if you need emergency resources? So anything that we think the student might need, we develop a student success session to gain confidence, right? In the past, we've worked with a radio team to do sessions called Listen Up, right? How to create your own podcast. And students who have done that, who've worked with the radio team, they have discussed about how that experience, in that room, right, has enhanced their confidence, right? So what does that mean? Well, if you are enhancing, if you're doing something that you enjoy with like the podcast and that's enhancing your confidence, that could translate into the
Yes.
classroom with public speaking or how you approach your work. So all of these things, we get to be innovative. We get to work with students to hopefully make them a bit stronger and a bit more comfortable with their experiences here. Um, and it's a lot of fun. And we can see the best thing ever is when a new student sees their own potential. It's so exciting because we know what they can do, right? And also the
Yes.
path that they may think they need to take, maybe they get introduced to something completely new and maybe they change their major into something that they didn't know existed before. But when they see and know that they can do it just by collecting experiences and enhancing those skill sets over time, it's awesome. And it's great to see where, maybe a first gen or first semester student, might be uncertain, but then give them a couple of years and you can see the change and you can see them going for the internships and for the digital badging and for all.
Yes.
It's just awesome. So that's really like the best part of the job. Besides the creativity, when you get to see students who are brand new and they end up seeing their own potential and investing in themselves. It's awesome.
Everything that you said, but I want to add on to some of the stuff that you said towards that question. So the collaboration, it does bring a result in both parties that are collaborating because it's not just the counseling center that's benefiting from this initiative. It's also you guys and our, what should I say? Our excellence is the perfect result. And also, I wanted to say about the public speaking part. I never saw myself actually speaking out and also creating a podcast to like empower students. And at first it was intimidating to me because I was so more like in my own shell that I'm like, oh my God, am I gonna really do this? But as I do it and I learn more about it, it makes me more confident, especially approaching graduation. I really need to have these skills if I want to have a job. I can't just, be silent. I have to speak up. So thank you guys for always pushing us and letting us find our true potential.
Oh, it's our pleasure. And again, a lot of what we do is, I mean, we do build programs, but again, like we promote things. So we promote items from student activities. We promote from the Women's Center. So whatever it is that our colleagues send, if we're able to partner and create something like a student success session, we do it. But if it's just an issue of just promoting it and explaining the benefit of what these programs are about, then we do that too. A lot of what we do is primarily exposure. It's almost like opening the door and taking that first step. And we have a kind of a concentrated population with the first year experience. We take a look at incoming transfer students and freshmen. That is our focus. That's our pretty much our cohort for those for that first academic year before they're kind of out into different spaces. A little bit differently than how they're treated when they come in. But it's really exciting, and I know that one of the things that because I'm assuming that if your focus on this podcast is first gen students, I would definitely be doing a disservice if I didn't mention the First Gen U Career Institute. So we that is an initiative that I would say primarily comes out of Career Services. I think that's the department that's kind of the official liaison. But
Okay.
the ACE program is a supporter of those initiatives, and first year experience is. And we are always trying to increase the representation of York first gen students in that program. It's a professional development program. Students complete certain modules, and there are certain professional development opportunities that come with that. So that's something that's very specific to first gen students. And we've started to introduce that in our new student orientation program. I think it was last year, we had a representative from first gen U uh, at the exact front. So when students would check in, we knew ahead of time if they were first generation students, because when they would RSVP to new student orientation, they would check that box. And if they come in and we see that, then we would direct them to that table so that the team from First Gen U could have that discussion and talk about their program and what that could do for the student. So there are things on campus that are specific to First Gen students. So it's really about promotion and making sure that we enforce the message of what this can do for the student, because everyone gets a degree. It's fabulous and it is an accomplishment, but it's a first step to something much larger. And the one thing that no one ever has enough is of time, right? And time, no one has enough time. So the 4 years can go by very fast. And if you're a transfer student, it goes by even quicker. So
Yes.
all college students should embrace as many opportunities as possible so that they have an academic professional portfolio. So when it's time for them to graduate, not only do they have their degree, but they
Yeah.
also have a substantial portfolio of the things that they were involved in that have enhanced certain skills to make them more marketable when they venture out into the world, whether they go to a master's program, whether they go on to a career, whether they're applying for an internship or a scholarship. So those types of things that are specific to first generation students, such an opportunity, right? Because it's tailored a bit to their experience, and it's an opportunity to meet other students who fall within that same category. So it's a really great opportunity, and a lot of it is virtual, so you can go at a pace that might be more comfortable for the student. So again, there are a lot of opportunities out there. It's just students have to be willing to, once they commit, to really see things through and move forward, because you don't get anything just because. You got to put in the work, and what you put
Yes.
in is what you get out.
Sure. Closed mouths don't get fed. That's a fact. In your opinion, what is the most underestimated resource or tool that first gen students can use to be successful in their college journey?
A lot of students their first year don't get involved as much as we would like to see them getting involved, because they're learning the landscape, right? Um, the Division of Student Affairs and Enrollment Management created a cardinal flight plan specific for this, right? You have students come in and they're like, okay, we know we got to go to class, but what do we do in our first year that's different than what we should do in our second, third, fourth, right? So the division created a cardinal flight plan that breaks down suggestions for a freshman student, or not even freshman, more like if you're an incoming student, would probably be a better phrase. But then it breaks from that. So you have your first year plan, and then you have, if you're a sophomore, it's recommended that you do certain things. If you're a junior, you're not going to necessarily do the same thing that you would have if you were a sophomore. So
Right.
the flight plan is really important. I'm not really
Mhm.
sure, it's out there, but again, we throw a lot of things at students. We post a lot, just in general, the college community posts a lot on the Cardinal app. But when you post on the Cardinal app, in 2 seconds, it's now down
Yes, it's
here, right?
buried.
Right. So unless the student sees it like right when you post it, then it moves along, right? So it's really important that the first year experience team uh, captures the attention of people in the space. So, like the One York Brotherhood, right? They have these sessions on Wednesdays, variety of topics in the
Okay.
evening. And it's similar to kind of like a lunch and learn in a way, right? So in those spaces, when we have the students, that's a prime time for us to really tell them what we have sent out, what we have publicized that they may have missed. And that
Right.
cardinal flight plan is really valuable because if a student has that when they first come in, it gives them an idea of really some strong suggestions on when maybe they should secure a mentor or when they should become a mentor if that's something that they're interested in, when they should get an internship. First Gen U is, I mean, again, excellent program, but even though students may be interested, the actual engagement is different than interest, right? So you have to step over that threshold, choose to commit, and move forward. And when you engage in programs that are very specific like that, um, the opportunities that stem from that can really be valuable. So we really try to promote engagement, but that cardinal flight plan, again, it just gives a very clear indicator of suggested stepping stones to make sure that if you follow that, when you graduate, you'll have a pretty substantial portfolio that would make you a bit competitive once you go
Yes.
to those career markets. Um, so yeah, so we do a lot of promoting, and we want to make sure that first gen students, just like all our students, take advantage of what's here because you're not really going to have a time in your life like college. There's just so much opportunity, and it goes by so fast.
All
So
right.
yes. So if you don't take
Listen.
advantage, then it's kind of like the train leaves the station. And it doesn't mean
Yes.
that you can't have a prosperous career and go on to bigger and better things. But sometimes it's more difficult because whenever you interview for anything, scholarship, or if you are submitting to competitive uh, post grad programs, the people who are evaluating you are looking at a piece of paper. So what have you done? What can you put down on that paper? How can you express yourself and on those documents that would say, yes, we want you to take this next step over here, you know? So just really important to um, take everything in, pace yourself, but do something, right? Don't let your first semester go by without joining a club or participating in something that will provide you with more exposure of what the college can provide you.
Right. Thank you so much for that. I know I said last question, but you told us some advices, but there are still students that are out there that are probably thinking about dropping out or not pursuing their college degree. What's one main advice, like a core strong advice you would tell them to keep pushing, don't drop out, you can do it? What would you tell them right now?
Think that students have to do what's right for them. And I'm a big proponent of that. I mean, I'm not in someone else's shoes. I'm in my shoes, right? So
Right.
what might be the best option for me may not be the best option for another person, right? So the only advice that I would say is applicable across the board is to make sure that you have the conversations that you need to have. If you are not sure what type of conversation you should have, because a lot of people like, well, I don't know even where to start.
Right.
Um, that's where the first year experience team can definitely come into play. I mean, we are a team of two full-time people. So there's myself as the director, and there's Mr. Roosevelt Smith as the assistant director. So, we're small, but we're mighty. And we have no problems with picking up the phone or going, on foot or having the conversations that we need to have to assist the students so that they can get their questions answered. If a student feels that they have to leave college for financial reasons, um, before they do that, it would be appropriate to have a conversation with financial aid or an area that works with emergency resources. And again, sometimes students just don't know where to go. Now, we can't necessarily guarantee what the outcomes are going to be because every circumstance is different and necessarily know what's leading up to, these decisions and the way the way, certain things are navigated. But having the conversations and exhausting all the resources that are available to you before, you move along, is really important, just to make sure you know what your options are. So could be where maybe full time is not for you right now, maybe part time, right? But even if you're part time, taking one class is better than taking none, right? Because you're
Yes.
still moving forward. But maybe having a conversation with an academic advisor would be the way to go. You know, so sometimes you need to have that face to face, and it's important. But again, sometimes you just don't know who to ask what question to. So I think that communication is the strongest tool that a student has. But you just find like one person that works at the college that can get you to the next step of having the conversation that you need to have. Then I think that's the most important step.
Thank you so much for your advice and your thoughts on this podcast. It was really appreciated. Thank you for taking the time out of your schedule, Miss Shayla. Um,
Am I
and
allowed? Because I know that this will probably you can edit this out, but I do have to
yes,
say that uh, we're extremely proud of you. You
thank
do an
you.
amazing job, and you're involved in a variety of activities here at the college. And we see what you're doing and how you're navigating, and you have so many people who are rooting for you. And it's just awesome because I think you see your potential and you're making things happen. you know
Yeah,
and that is noticed by
thank you.
myself and the colleagues here at York. So I just wanted to put that in there. You can edit it out if you want, but we're proud of you, and I just want to make that known.
It just made my heart smile.
And we're excited to see what you're doing next. I
Thank
mean,
you.
we just wait and see, where we need to tune in to see what your next step is. And again, if there's any way that we can assist in that, we are more than happy to do so.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Um, I hope you have a blessed day, Miss Shayla. It was nice talking to you. It just flowed perfectly.
Well, that's because the host of the podcast seems to make her guests at ease and knows what to do. So, it's
Uh,
not that hard. This was lovely. This was a lovely experience. So,
Thank
so
you.
thank you for inviting me, and keep me posted on what Miss Russell's next step is.
Well, thank
All
you.
right.
Have a good day.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye bye.
Bye.